Hello, hello, hello. Hi, folks, and welcome to the Virtual Cafe. I'm your host, Segilola Salami. So, what can I get you today?
Let's see. I would like, well, first of all, I'm Sherry Meeks, and I'm the author of Finding Tambry. I have my MFA in fiction from Southern New Hampshire University. I've been nominated for a Georgia Author of the Year award for the book, and I'm also going to be a featured author at the Chicago Book Expo May 10th through the 13th of this year, which I'm very excited about. And I would love a cup of coffee, please.
Oh, goody. MFA, what's that?
Master of Fine Arts, and it's actually in fiction.
Oh, interesting. See, when I think of arts, I think like drawing and stuff, and not fiction. Okay,
It's
interesting.
fiction, yes.
Okay, and what would you like with your coffee, please?
Cake, please.
Oh, okay. You're actually in luck though because we have today my specialty. It's like a nice hot chocolate. Well, not hot chocolate. So cocoa and white milk chocolate. White milk chocolate. I'm not even speaking properly. But cocoa and milk chocolate single layer cake with a chocolate glaze and Smarties on top. So we should get you some
Sounds
slices.
delicious.
Yes, and no funky ingredients. It's all natural. Good for you cake. If you could,
Oh,
if a cake can be good for you, but yeah.
that's what I love to hear. Thank you so much.
Okay, so it'll only be a second. The little human being. She's got to climb stools. She's like what? She's quite tall for a 1-year-old, but she still needs to climb stools to get these stuff. So it'll just be a second.
Well, I
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah. Who's next, please?
Hi, my name's Ethan Howard, and former English school teacher, former military health consultant, and now I am a agency for homeless youth. And I write every chance I can get.
Okay, now I don't know if it's me, but I couldn't hear you properly. You were going in and
Is
out.
this better? How is this? The volume is all the way up.
Yeah, it's not the volume. It breaks up.
I think
It breaks
might
up?
be, yeah, it might be your internet. There's, I did some WAVM stuff. I work for my school's radio station. I don't think there's anything we can do. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine. Okay, what did you want to drink, Ethan?
I would love to drink some ice water.
Ice
My
water.
favorite drink.
Okay. Now, how can
Yes.
ice water be a favorite drink? That's like an essential thing. Everybody has ice water.
If I had to pick something, it would be cranberry juice.
Ah, okay. See, because even the little human being, she's laughing at that because she just thinks ice water is a favorite drink. But okay, cranberry juice it is then. We'll try and get you some. And what would you like with your drink?
How about coconut rum?
All I heard was rum. All I heard was rum, and I think I would go to jail if the cops found out that I had like my little human serve rum in my virtual cafe. So I'm going to pretend I did not hear that. Okay, so who's next, please?
Um, Hi, Adam Sherman here. I'm I'm a I'm writing a web serial called Nowhere Island University. In the meantime, I'm looking for like maybe a job at a supermarket or something.
Okay.
'Cause,
Because you have to pay the rent.
well, I have to justify to my parents where I'm living that I'm not just, sitting here doing nothing.
Gotcha.
I don't even have enough money to pay rent.
Oh dear.
I gotcha.
Okay, no, that's quite good. But then just to digress, they're like there's something that I use. I can't even. You know what? I think because my back is playing up, I can't even speak properly today. So you'll just have to forgive me. What I was trying to say that I was twisting my words is that I use freelance website more to do my book as opposed to be for me to get work. So you could possibly, consider that because then you can sit in front of your computer doing what you love doing anyway and still get paid.
That's a good point.
I have no idea how to start with that, so.
Okay, after the show, maybe I can actually do another episode on that. But yes, there are loads of freelance websites. The ones that I've used, there's Fiverr, so that's 5R with an R. I don't know if it's one R
I've
or
heard
two.
of that.
And then the one that I also use again is called People Per Hour, but there are loads of them out there. So you could give them a. And the funny thing is, people put random things. Like someone put, "I will watch your YouTube video." Like seriously. So you can put a gig out there and say to someone, "If you pay me, I will watch your YouTube."
There's another one too, Adam, called elance.com. That's a cool one.
Yes, I've heard of that one, but yes. I've not used that as well. But no, sorry, it's just when I saw that someone says I will watch your YouTube video, I just found it really, really funny.
It is. It's funny how things work now. People checking you out on YouTube and everything.
Yes.
It's weird. I mean, I think I might be one of the last people to grow up without internet in their house because, well, I mean, not grow up, but remember a time when there wasn't internet in my house. I mean, I was like 3 or something, but I remember we didn't have internet. We had a bunch of computers, but we didn't have internet. And then I turned 4, and I think it was when I was 4 or 5 that my parents first got internet, and they were the early adopters. My dad's a techie person.
I see. Well, I think if I say this right, and it's not going to give away my age, I don't think so. But when I was in secondary school, we had old school typewriters. You know the one that you then do the handle and it goes ding, and then it does that ding-in thing?
Yes. I've typed on those too before.
I've used them, but that's not because of my age. That's because my parents don't ever let go of any junk.
Okay, right.
We have 20 computers from that have been made between the late 90s and this year, and well, not 20, more like 12, and we also have 6 typewriters from the 80s. And
wow.
Maybe a bit before.
Wow. I think the next thing you're probably going to say, you have one of those, those black and white TVs that are like cinemas, and then you have to open the screen.
We don't have a projector, but our our TV was bought for my parents as a wedding present. I think from Dad's mom, and Mom will not let go of that thing.
You never know, I guess. You never know.
Yeah, well, things keep coming back into fashion, so it might do that. Okay, yeah. So Adam, you didn't tell us, what would you like to have with your drink? Please don't say water. Do not say water.
Pepsi,
yes.
And I'm gonna have lunch soon after this is over, so maybe like some peanut butter cookies. That way I can share them with Dad. He's allergic to chocolate.
Ah, shoot.
That's sad. That is sad. Allergic to chocolate. I feel for you, Adam.
But he doesn't let it get to him. He actually thinks that maybe it's helped him be healthier than he would otherwise be, which
That's true.
he's kind of thankful for any help he can get at the moment.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's fine. Right, so whilst the little human, she's putting my finger in her mouth and trying to exercise her little teeth, you have to bear with us while she does that and then gets around to getting your order ready. So now, whilst we are waiting for her, I would like to know what you think about some things. There are so many terms that I've come across, in this virtual cafe with regards to publishing that's quite similar. I've heard someone say, oh, I'm an indie publisher, and I'm a self-publisher, and then I've gone online and I've seen, oh, this is a vanity publishing firm, or this is hybrid publishing, or this is independent publishing, and there's traditional publishing. These soldiers doing my head in and giving me a migraine just thinking about them. Ethan, what's your take on all of this? What are all these terms exactly? Like, what factors should one consider before deciding on which type of publishing to go for?
You should consider, what is your end game? So in other words, what are you really trying to do with your book? Or is to get eyes on their book and to get people to read them. All the different publishers to do it. You can do it yourself. You will save a lot of money. You will maintain creative. Recommend also getting an editor. Find an editor and then a good cover artist. So maintain your control and just get it out there. And then you set the timetable on when it's done. You do your own marketing, really, and that's the most important thing. Keep your work, do your own marketing, find an editor, and get it out there. But do your marketing, rely on social media as well.
Did you guys get what he said? Because I didn't.
Please tell me your rundown.
Oh, this is the downside to technology. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes it just really, really drives you potty.
Yeah, computers, as a guy who's grown up in a computer household and who's done some tech work, computers can and do sense fear, and they will try and mess with you. Don't believe me? Try printing something out like a few hours before you need to hand it in.
That is so true. That is so true.
You know what? The only time that my computer has crashed was when I was at uni and I was trying to hand in my project. And the night before, after every single thing that I've done, and I thought, yes, it's all done. And at that point, I was not smart enough to click save. My computer crashed.
That's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking.
Yes. You know what? I was in tears to my dad. Because you think, after spending hours doing all that typing, where you're just putting stuff as you go, and then your computer decides to crash.
Heartbreaking.
At least.
Well, I can, if you'd like me to, I can kind of pass along what Ethan was saying. I was able to hear him.
Okay.
He was saying that, and Ethan, if you want to jump in here at any time, he was saying that the end game is to get the work out there and to set your own timetable and to make sure that it's edited by somebody else and professionally edited. And you need to market your book and depend on social media, work social media. Find an editor that is like-minded and make sure that the cover art is very professional. Ethan, was that it?
That's it. That's all of it in a nutshell. Absolutely.
Right, okay. But that doesn't really tell me, what. Like, okay, I think maybe I should rephrase, and maybe I'm the one who's not made myself clear. What is indie publishing? What is self-publishing? What is vanity publishing? What is hybrid publishing? What is independent publishing? What is traditional publishing? Oh my god, headache again, headache again. So that's what. What are all these different terms of publishing? What are they?
Well, I would say traditional publishing is what we all think, that you go through a publisher and you send in your book and you send in those letters to to agents first to try to get an agent to get a publisher. So I would say traditional publishing is through a publishing company, through a publishing house,
Okay.
which isn't always available to everybody. Vanity press publishing is more about just wanting your book out there, and to me, vanity press has a little bit of a negative connotation to it. Where vanity publishing is, you may end up paying a lot to get your book out there, and I think some people misunderstand that vanity publishing is not the same as going through a publishing house. I think a lot of people are confused about that, and I think a lot of times people are taken by vanity presses thinking that, you know, their book is being published through a true publishing house when really it isn't. So people definitely need to be careful of vanity presses. And then for me, self-publishing and independent publishing, they're kind of similar. And guys, if you have a different take on it, let me know. But self-publishing is you go through the process yourself of publishing the book. You figure out how to publish it through the appropriate channels. For example, I have my book printed through Ingram Spark so that Barnes & Noble can buy the book. And if it wasn't through Ingram Spark, they wouldn't. They have to have their their specific buyers that they buy from. So you figure out how to self-publish. Self-publishing is doing just about everything yourself. But again, like Ethan said, you really need to have professional editors. You need to have a professional cover. It needs to, when you walk in the bookstore, you shouldn't be able to tell the difference between a self-published book or an independent book and a book through a traditional press. It needs to look as neat and as sharp and as appealing as a traditionally published book.
Right, okay.
So that's my take on it.
Yeah, which is quite good. But then what is the difference between vanity publishing and hybrid publishing? Because these are terms that seems to be floating around the internet, and, you know, it's really mind-boggling because you just think, oh, because I've read that, you know, where they call vanity publishing, you know, it's got that negative connotation, like you say. But then there are some places where you go and they go, oh, but this is hybrid publishing. So what is the difference between both of them?
Gosh, I'm going to defer to Ethan and Adam. Do you know the difference? I really don't know what hybrid publishing is. That's a new one for me.
First time I've ever heard. I've never heard of it.
Okay.
What about you, Adam? Have you heard of it?
I don't even know. I mean, I'm a web serial author. What I do is I write one chapter a week. I post it on various websites. I hope that people see it, and and I'm lucky, people are definitely seeing my stuff, and people then I hope that the people comment, which they have, and I hope that people decide it's good enough to give money, which a few people have, but web serials are, from what I understand, each kind of press, every kind of press is sort of like a lottery. If you win the traditional publishing lottery, you're like J.K. Rowling and you become richer than the Queen of England and several small If you win the self-published lottery, you're like Young James, and you sell, like, how many copies of 50 Shades of Grey did she sell? Like 50 million, some ridiculous number?
Insane amount.
If you're a web serialist like me and you win the lottery, you're like Wildbow, or also known as J.C. McRae, and you make $2,000 to $3,000 a month on Patreon, which is a great sum of money, but it's not however much money someone like Neil Gaiman is writing. I'm making.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking up. I just looked it up because now I'm really curious. I looked up hybrid publishing, and what it says, there's so many different variations. It's kind of a mix of traditional and self-publishing.
Yeah.
And some of the examples that I'm seeing is you can start out as a self-published author, and then you you're picked up by a traditional publishing house, or you can be a traditionally published author, and then you decide to self-publish. So it's indicating there's a different variations of how hybrid publishing works. So it's kind of a combination of self-publishing and traditional publishing is what it appears to be, which is very interesting.
So tell me again, what is vanity publishing?
From my understanding of vanity publishing is you pay someone who isn't a traditional publisher, but you pay someone to go through the steps of putting your book together and publishing your book. And from the again, from the word vanity publishing, I always get the feeling that with vanity presses there's a little bit of oh gosh, how do I put it? There's definitely a negative connotation when you do vanity press, and you almost, for me, you almost get the feeling that the person that's the author needs to learn a little bit more about the industry, and possibly find an independent publisher that is truly, a small press or an independent press to publish their book, as opposed to a vanity press who's going to probably take a lot of your money, and you might not see a lot for your effort.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think,
Okay, I was just going to say that I think one way that I can describe it is basically when, say you've written your book, and you've got your manuscript, and you're sending it out to loads of different quote-unquote publishers, and then someone then replies to you, and there are loads of companies who do this, because I've seen templates from somebody, an author, who posted it out, and several people have said that they've received this almost word for word the same reply, and basically the reply then goes, oh, it's almost, and this is me paraphrasing it in my own words, it's almost like, oh my god, we really love your book, it is fantastic, we would love to have you on board with us, but so they boost your ego, right? Tell you absolutely every single thing that you want to hear, right? Make you think, oh my god, I am the best thing since sliced bread or since Booker Boots, and then they go,
Yes.
But you are a first time.
Actually, I remember that my grandmom wrote a book, and she actually used a vanity press to publish it. And what she did was she went in because she wanted, a few copies to give to her friends, because everything was basically about her. And she knew that, or at least she thought that no one who wasn't her would even want to look at the thing, so, or her or her friends. So she went in, made a copy for all of her friends, and maybe a few of her family members, and gave everyone who wanted one a copy, and then never printed another thing again.
So maybe it's about, as far as the perception of vanity presses, maybe it's about the intentions of the author. And I definitely see what you're saying about the letter. That's I couldn't think of that, but that is absolutely right. You'll receive a letter saying you're the best thing in the world, and
Exactly.
Really, if it comes to you that way, it's kind of a scam.
Yeah, but it is. That's why, because the bit that I was going to that I didn't finish was that they said, when they now say but, they then go, this is where they then play on your emotions, they play on your naivety, they go, right, but because you're a new author, it is a risk to us, right? So we would like to share the risk with you, so
that's it.
we will take majority of the financial investment. We just need you to pay, say, £3,000 or $3,000 to contribute towards the final production of your book.
Yes. That's it. You're right.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right. That's a vanity press.
And I think, some of them, they're now then trying to then change that term. And this is me. I am not an expert in this. I do not have a publishing house or anything, but I am not an expert. So they prey on people's emotions, and then that's why now they're trying to then go out of that negative connotation and then go, and some of them then try to do this whole hybrid publishing. So you will then see what they, because the whole idea of putting it as a hybrid publishing is, and the thing is, if you try, unless you might say, come and give us, so the whole idea of a hybrid publishing, in my little understanding, and I am not an expert, is that they would have some authors that they would give, the same way like a traditional publisher would do, they would do the same thing. They would give, royalties upfront, whatever the amount, and then they might then have some other authors that they may say, okay, doesn't fit in quite, but they still want to help that person, out. But they need to make sure that everything is fully clear. And the only way they can then be classed as a hybrid publishing is if they actually have authors that they have given royalties to. So if they've not done that, then they're literally just putting it there as a scam. So then, if you're an author, then you should then be able to say, okay, right, fine. From the author, say in a year, how many authors do you get that you publish, that you do the whole 100% give them money up front? So that's a sort of question that, I would think that someone should ask. Because if they go and then if they answer the question, then you should see that they have some number. But if they have zero authors that they've, given a traditional contract to, then they're scamming you.
Yes. That's a very good point. I had no idea that was the distinction with hybrid publishing now. That's a really good point, and I kind of see how some of the vanity presses are trying to work the system maybe a little bit.
Yes, but again, like I said, sorry, no, I was just saying that I'm not an expert, and this is just my little understanding of it, and I wanted to just see what everybody else thought about it, because I think it's just, there's so much, and you start off, you don't really know, you just think, all you just see is, everybody does that selective reading where you just see the word that you want, and especially when they write to you, they give you this nice glossy matte, contract, really nice looking, and you're like, oh, check me out, man!
I've hit the jackpot. It's
like, I'm going to be a published author. Check it out. See the contract traditional and then when you then read the small print, and then you think, right, okay.
And if I can say this, the bottom line is write for yourself. And when I talk to so many different indie authors like me, and I tell them, write for yourself, have fun, don't quit your day job. Those are the things right there. Tell your story, get it out there, and you can do it yourself, and you don't have to pay all this money to someone else.
Yeah, which is true. But then the difference though is that you're already in the game. You've got some experience. When someone is starting out, they don't really know where to go. And this is where, I'm a big fan of something that I read. Either my mom told me, Wise Woman, God bless her soul, or I read it somewhere, and it's one of those ones where it says, if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. So failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And that's why there are loads of information out there, because if you're unsuspecting, if you've not done any research, then it just means that you're just going to fall prey to one of these scammers. Should I use scammer? Is that a good thing to say or what?
I think so. I think some of the vanity presses are scams, absolutely. But I do see what Ethan's saying too. But you're absolutely right too. You have to be careful of who you work with. So definitely research is the main thing, even from the very start. Even if you're brand new, definitely your research. But listening to the show itself is a way for people to kind of be more aware of, vanity presses and people that might try to scam you. But I do absolutely see what Ethan says. If you put in the time and the research too, you can't be lackadaisical about it. If you do receive that kind of letter, you need to research it.
Oh yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like just like how what Adam was saying, that his grandma didn't think anything. So again, this is one of those ones where you have to decide for yourself what is success. And I think that would then determine how you progress. So, for instance, success, as per say Adam's grandma, is seeing her book in print. So someone just wants to see their book in print. They don't care if anybody else buys it. They're not interested in all of that. Then that is success. If someone says, okay, if they say, oh, I want to become the next J.K. Rowling, yeah, you're
Think again. Think again.
yeah, okay. And then if someone says, okay, well, I would keep my day job, and I will see where this writing career takes me to. So again, most people, they set off without having, a plan, without having a definition of what success would be. And something, that I learned when I was at uni is SMART objectives, and I haven't said SMART objectives in a while, so please forgive me if I don't get it. Is that what? Specific, or is that subjective? Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, timely, objective, something like that. So you might say, okay, let's say I want to write. So you might say you wanted to start put a SMART objective. Okay, I want to write a book. Yes, so that's your thing. But realistic in time, when do I want to write my book by? So you could say, I want to write my book by the end of the year. So it's a timely objective. Or if you've written your book and you say, okay, I want to sell 1 million copies, and I want to sell 1 million copies in the first day my book comes out.
You're probably not going to meet that.
Not going to happen.
Or if you say,
since I'm a web serial writer, my goal every week is write one chapter, get my sister to look at that chapter, and then set it up so that my WordPress site, nowhereislanduniversity.wordpress.com, shameless plug, I know, but so that it will update that automatically when the time comes for that chapter to be published. Right now, I've got like let's see, 13. I'm 13 chapters ahead of where I need to be in order to have a chapter like up on Wednesday.
So you do a lot of upfront scheduling.
I do a lot of what?
You schedule upfront, so you do it in advance.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I do the same as well. Sometimes I just blitz through and then just put it all on there. It saves you time.
It also like saves you peace of mind, because if I've got no buffer and the update time is tomorrow, I've got to be writing,
Yeah.
I tried living that way for like the first few months of my web serialing life, and that just I pulled like 4 or 5 all-nighters and decided save it for side stories and donation bonuses.
Okay, there was a little bit of an echo before. Can you guys still hear it, or is it just me? You know where it feels like there's a rush of air coming in?
I do hear that a little bit. But it's not bad.
No. Well, hopefully when we record the podcast, and people won't think, what are these crazy people just talking about something random? Oh yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully it's not going to actually affect the actual recording. So I think we've sort of established. Oh yes, and then the other thing that I was going to add, the difference between indie publishing and the difference between self-publishing and independent publishing. So I'm feeling bad now because I'm supposed to be getting education here, whereas I feel like I'm the virtual cafe hostess and I'm telling everything. Is that really bad that I'm just telling, as opposed to just asking and listening?
No, it's great. Are you kidding? It's great. We're all learning something. We're all learning something today.
That's fine. Okay, so again, in my little, right? and I'm using this very, very strongly. In my little experience, and because I am not an expert and I do not know everything, and I hope someone who is listening, if someone has, a different opinion or knows something, or if I've said something wrong, they can please school me, and I'm open to being schooled. But the difference between independent publishing and self-publishing, even though those two are being used interchangeably, is with regards to ISBN. So if you go on CreateSpace or Amazon KDP, for instance, and you're trying to upload your book, or even what's the other one, Smashwords, right?
Yeah.
If you use if you use Smashwords or if you use Amazon KDP, right? No, actually, scratch that. Let's start off with Smashwords. I've got one book on Smashwords, and it gives you this sort of almost thing that you have to click and accept, that if it provides you with a free ISBN, it will then be listed as the publisher. But you're the publisher. But just because they're the one generating the ISBN number, everywhere is going to be listed as the publisher. So with my latest book, for instance, now, can you guys hear me echoing?
Yeah,
No?
I think
Not
it's
on my end, you're not echoing.
Okay.
well, I can't hear you echoing, but I think maybe the I think the problem is we're all using kind of cheap microphones, like
That could be. That
built
could be.
into our computer,
Yes.
our laptop computers, and our crappy little webcams, or our monitors or something.
Okay, dear listener, Adam had said that we're all using cheap microphones, and that's why we've got all these dodgy recording things.
That could be. That could be.
Can you please support us?
Personalities, and they buy actual microphones and compressors, which I don't even know what they are. And they sound amazing. If you listen to Total Biscuit or the Podquisition, and it sounds like they're actually in the room with you. Unless we have technical difficulties.
Right. See, I'm a mom, right? And I'm doing this, this thing, and I'm trying to make a living out of it. And even though I don't get paid for doing the podcasting, and I'm yet to break even with, my book, so please, dear listeners, I don't know about the other guests if they're interested, but please do buy me a nice techie headset. And Mike, and then the compressor thing that he says, use one that comes with a dummy guide too, because I'm not sure I can do, any of those fancy technology things. Just give me one that just plugs in and play. I'm more than happy with that one. Okay, well, the echoing seems to have reduced a little bit. So what I was trying to say with so I was saying, yeah, with Smashwords, right? Oh yes, so I got distracted. So with my book, for instance, Yesterday An Ode to My Mother, which is my latest book, right? If you go on Goodreads now, for instance, when you click on this book, you will see somewhere there it says there are 2 editions. Now, why there are 2 editions? Because I went there, I was just looking at it one day, and I noticed, and I thought, 2 editions? Why? So I then clicked on it, and I saw that there's one which I put my name as Segilola Publishing when I was uploading it to Amazon. But then when I was using Smashwords to upload it, because I didn't really want to pay for an ISBN, I used the Smashwords ISBN. So it's then listed Smashwords as my publisher. And so that's why in the book listing on Goodreads, it's got 2 editions, where one is my Amazon listing that I did, and then the other one says Smashwords. So basically, that's sort of almost where the difference comes in. So if you're self-publishing, you do not have any ISBN, and somebody else is being listed as the publisher of your book. When you're an independent publisher, it's almost like you have your own small imprint house, right? And so in the UK, it's called Nielsen, Nielsen.
Okay.
And when you go and buy, the smallest one they do is a batch of 10 ISBN, and it will then, your ISBN, I think the first few numbers is specific to you as the publisher. So be it your publisher name, your address, blah, 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 right? So with my first book, I went to buy a batch of 10 ISBNs from Nielsen. So across board, every single year, it's the ISBN that I bought that I've assigned to my first book. That's what has now been listed across board. So if you then search Segilola Publishing, very, very imaginative, I know. That's basically it. So I don't know if I've made this clear. So if you're a self-publisher, you do not own the ISBN. It's going to always show as Create Space Publishing or Amazon KDP or whatever else, or if you use Lulu, whoever the provider of the ISBN number, that is who is going to be listed as the publisher of your book. If you're an independent publisher, then that means you have your own imprint, right? And so the ISBN for the book will then be provided to your imprint name, and that is what you will then use across all the board. So if your book is going to be listed on Amazon, it will then say, when you scroll down to the middle of the page where it will say publisher, for my books it would say Segilola Publisher. If it's somewhere, it'll be HarperCollins. If it's whoever the publisher of your book, that's where it's going to be. Now, so apart from buying the ISBN, in the UK, and I don't know if it's the same with other countries, here the British Library, they have a legal deposit scheme. So every book that is published in the UK, a copy of it needs to get sent to the British Library or to the legal deposit scheme, right? So now we all know that authors do not get a lot of money, right? So for a batch of 10 ISBN, I think it's about £150 you have to pay for it. Then, sorry?
I was just going to say, I think here, I think it's more than that. I think it was around $250 for 10 ISBNs. So I think that's what it was, which may equal that as far as pounds. So yes.
Yes, yeah. So then you've got to pay off that upfront, and then if you're starting off and maybe you only have one book in you, then you've got 9 extra ISBN that you don't need that you're stuck with. But if you intend to make a career out of it and you've got several books in you, then by all means you've got the thing. And I think the way they do it as an imprint is that you can then get other self-published authors to then come under you, where you will give them the ISBN. So then, so I think that's how you have all these small publishing presses. That's how they developed. So the owner might have gone to buy their own ISBN and set up the imprint for themselves, and then thought, okay, you know what? I've got all these ISBN that I'm probably not going to use anytime soon. Why don't I just set myself up as, a publishing house, a small one, for instance. And I think this is where, all of the I wouldn't want to say the scammers, but this is, I guess that's how it all started. And I think also with regards to hybrid publishing, they might then say, okay, fine, you've written your book, we will give you our ISBN, so basically all the additional services that a traditional publisher would do, they would say to you that they're going to do it for you, but you have to pay for it. And the difference, though, so for the legit ones and not the scammers. And so the legit ones will say that we will do your marketing for you. This is how much it's going to cost to do your marketing. We will do your formatting for you. So for instance, if you think about Smashwords, for instance, have you seen their 200-page guide? Oh my God, I looked at it and I thought, nah, man, I'm not going to go and read 200 pages of whatever it is, right? So if you need formatting, they might say, okay, we've got in-house formatters. We will get them to do your formatting for you. If you need to do your marketing, they will do that for you. So I think that's where the hybrid, comes in. And then, so basically that's, the independent one. So it's regards to, and I digress again, and I missed what I was saying. So yes. So now you pay about £150 for your ISBN, but you then have to bear the cost of printing out your book and posting a copy to the British Library. Then the other agencies that are associated with the British Library, and I think there's the Scottish one and some other places, they will then ask you to do the same as well. They may, you know. So when I did my first book, I then had to post 6 books to them, which is a good thing. But then for someone who's not really, you know, broken the bank at some speaking right now, to be to be paid for postage, you know, and then obviously you're not going to use the unregistered one because you don't want your book to go walk, right? So you'll have to take the regular one, you know, either signed for or recorded delivery or something that, you know, ensures that, you know, it guarantees that it gets to its destination. You're going to do that. So you're going to bear the cost of printing your book, which is not cheap. Let's not even go to the, you know, cost of print on demand. Like when I was looking, some places they will say they charge £7 per book for 50 books, which, you know, by the time you put all this cost, it then starts piling up. And then so I guess that's why some people may just think, you know what, F it, I'm just going to go straight up and go to use someone else's ISBN, because then that responsibility falls on that person.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
So that's what I think, you know. But I
think you're right. I hadn't really thought about it. But I guess I'm more of an independent publisher than a self-published author, because I did the same thing. I bought the 10 ISBNs in the U.S. You have to send a book to I can't remember which office. Ethan or Adam, if you know, shout it out. But it's the same type of Congress. Yeah, that's it. You have to send it to the Library of Congress. Thank you. Thank you. So you send it to the Library of Congress here. And it's the same kind of thing. It's really about how much time and effort and money you want to put into it, as opposed to having somebody else do it. I think you're absolutely right as far as what the difference is between independent and self-publishing is.
Yeah. But you know, the thing though is a lot of people don't really realize these differences. They'll just be like, oh, okay, I'm self-published, so they just go and they just do. You know, and you know, that's where, you know, we, who I would like to quote unquote say we are seasoned pros, because we've been down this journey, we can then say, well, you know what, even though the terms are used interchangeably, there are slight differences. And that's why I was quite, you know, keen, because again, I'm not an expert. And I wanted to know what everybody else, you know, thinks about it. Okay. I'm dehydrated now. I know the little human has fallen asleep, right? We need to speak to her mom, you know. How dare her sleep when she's not yet served the drinks? Okay, sorry. Shuri, so, you know, we've gone through all of this, yeah? As an, you know, author yourself, what, you know, advice would you give an aspiring author with regards to, you know, selecting the type of publishing to go for? I mean, we've covered all of them, and we've sort of given a little bit about what each of them is. You know, what would you say, you know, to someone who is starting up, you know, what advice would you give them? I mean, also, when you started out as an author, what was your first light bulb moment? You know, so what I mean is, what did you fail in? Because, I mean, you know, it's not always straightforward. We all sort of stumble across the way, you know, along the way. So what did you make a mistake in that you figured out the solution to, that made you go, aha, if I could do it all over again, you know? So what would you say? Well, what affected your choice of style? Why did you go as an independent publisher as opposed to using someone else's ISBN?
Part of it, one thing I know that affected me initially is, you know, my first thoughts were that I had to go through a traditional publisher because that's the way everybody did it, and I can't tell you how many, you know, things I sent out to traditional publishers, and for, you know, a year or two I did that, you know, while I was working on other projects. And I finally realized part of the reason why it probably wasn't working is that really wasn't what I wanted. I wanted the control over the work, and I wanted to, you know, see all of this to fruition myself. So it really depends on, for other people, it depends on how much control they want, how much money they want to put into it, how much time they want to put into it. So that really, you know, that's the difference in what type of publishing they decide on. But when I decided to be an independent publisher, it all of a sudden, that made the difference. That was the light bulb moment when I knew it was okay to publish my book myself. And the stigma of that has definitely gone away because there's so many options for people now. And just because somebody hasn't gone through the traditional way of publishing doesn't mean the book isn't a great book. And, you know, I know lots of people that have gone through self-publishing that have done really well or through independent publishing. So I would tell people that, you know, if it's something that you're thinking about, research it more and more. And starting with this program is one way to research it. Research it more and more, and then just start the process and see where it takes you. And it's fun. When you finally have that book come to your door, it's surreal. And the fact that you put it all together yourself, it's a great thing.
I know, right? When I received the first paperback copy of my first book, you know, I had this massive grin in my face, and I was like, wow, I did this. You know, it's kind of like your mom. You see your child when you go through the pain of pushing or being, you know, having your sunroof cut open, and you see this like, wow, I created this.
There's the fruit of your efforts. I mean, it's amazing, and it's still surreal. I still can't believe it.
Yes, you know, I mean, I'm far away from what most people get, but then when I see, you know, I go on my KDP dashboard, and I'm obsessive or compulsive with it. I go there like several times a day, right? And then when I see that someone has purchased something, I think, wow, someone actually likes, you know, saw the writing, saw the cover image, and I think I've got really rubbish blurbs because I'm not good at marketing myself. And then I think, wow, someone liked the cover image, someone liked the title, someone liked my rubbish blurb enough to actually buy it. And I'm like, wow.
I agree. It is a great feeling. Absolutely. I had a lady the other day send me a message via Facebook. She had bought the book, and we had met at a Barnes & Noble, and she sent me a message via Facebook saying she was in the Dallas airport and she had just finished it. And she enjoyed the book, and that just blew me away because I've never been to Texas, but my book has. So, you know what I mean? So there's somebody sitting in the Dallas airport reading my book that just kind of blew my mind.
Actually, saying that, can I tell you something that made me teary-eyed yesterday?
Sure.
So, you know, like when you've written a new book, you know, you send out loads of free copies to anyone. You know, you hound people on Goodreads saying, "Will you read my book and give me a review, please?"
Yes.
So this one lady, you know, she gave me a review, and she sent me back, "Oh yes, I've left you a review, da 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 da." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much, you know, da 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 da." Then she now sends me another message on Goodreads, and she goes, "Is it okay if I print your book and give a copy to my mom and my mother-in-law, or do you just need me to buy another one?" And that made me teary-eyed. So this is for my latest book, Yet in the End, Odes to My Mother, right? And I was thinking, wow.
Yes.
So, apart from the fact that she read it, she liked it enough to want to give it to the two most important women in her life.
It makes you feel good.
It's just one of those where you just want to cry. You're like, oh my god, I wrote something. Like seriously, like I was like, please. And it's, you know, when you're just speechless, you're like, wow.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it seems to be like, you know, we've taken over the show. The boys are just keeping quiet now.
No, what's up with Ethan and Adam?
Hi. Sorry. But I actually wanted to mention something about book blurbs. My Nowhere Island University has started off in something completely different. Like when it was just in my head, it was something completely unlike what it is now. Now I have no idea what the heck it is. The plot is the same as, you know, what I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be about a guy who definitely isn't me, going to this school for mercenaries and mad scientists and evil businessmen and superheroes and supervillains.
And it's not you.
Yep, definitely not me. Um, and and he was go and he was going to like encounter all of these certain things. I mean, I know how I know the beginning, I know the end, I know every major plot point in between, but I have no idea what the darn thing is about. And it's hard to explain, like, you know, what's what's the heart and soul of this thing, because I know it has one. Uh, um, it, it mm, for a web serial, it's not hugely successful even by web serial standards, but I know that enough people like it so that it's gotta be saying something. I just don't know what it is. It's one of those things that, runs away from you.
Okay, two things that I'm going to say to that. First one, when I saw you the first time, I was trying to put my fingers on it. Then it then came to me. Did you ever watch Nikita the series?
No, well, actually, it depends. I actually did have Netflix for a while, and I think uh, I actually did watch a few episodes, most of the first season, I think.
Yeah, see
But
now you just remind me of her computer guy because I was trying to think was it Revenge, but Revenge guy he's nice and slim and he's clean shaven, whereas I think you're more Nikita's guy than than the other one. So that was the first thing that I was going to say. And then you then write a web serial that talks about assassins. Like, come on, it's like, and you're not Nikita's guy, seriously? And that was the first thing, and then now it's completely left my head what the second thing was going to say. It's like it's been what 17 months and I still suffer from baby brain, so I'll have to come back
it's
to the
okay.
second.
I'm 22 and I've had senior moments ever since I was born, so
You're just a baby. You're just a baby.
yeah.
In a very good way. I mean that in a very good way, Adam.
Yeah, I'm I have baby brain because I am the baby in the room.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
True. Okay, so Sherry, tell us about your latest book. What was the title again? What is it about?
It is called Finding Tambry, and it's about a woman who suffers the loss of her young son, and then her marriage falls apart. And then that's actually where the book starts. So it's more about the aftermath of such a tragedy, and it's her journey to figure out who she is after this happens. And she does it through one wrong man after another. Each man has his own flaw. And through this process, she may or may not figure out where she needs to go, because I don't want to give away the whole book.
Yeah.
But that's what it's about, and it's like I said, it's her journey, and it's kind of a journey of her trying to find redemption too. Even though, I never say what happened specifically to the son. She feels responsible, so it's definitely a story of, because she's the mother. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a story of her trying to find redemption, trying to find her way, and trying to figure out who she is, after this perfect life that she had disappears.
I think
Okay.
every story is about the character at at its core, the character trying to figure out who they are. Uh, I mean, if James Bond was a completely well-adjusted person, he wouldn't be James Bond.
That's so true. That's so true. You're so right. And you're
Sure.
saying yours is similar in that your character is trying to figure out who they are? Adam, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
think
there's
all the almost every single character in my story is trying to figure out who they are.
Mhm.
Sorry, can I just interrupt you really quickly, just so that, because I'm having a midlife moment where I've remembered what I was going to ask you before, and then just to stop me from not remembering again. Sorry. See, when I write, right, and I shouldn't say this because once I say this, right, it's going to be stamped and it's always going to be available. But I would say, let's say there is author X and it's not me. Some other author, they have voices in their head telling them how to write their story. And that's sort of how the story comes together. Do you guys have how do you get your story together? Do you have voices in your head that tells you what to? I don't have voices in my head.
Did you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go ahead. For me, I have so many different stories that I write them down. I have a little notebook that I keep with me, and I have different ideas. And so then I'll just start putting it together. I'll put the outline together, and then I'll start writing chapter by chapter. I'll do my research in between. I'll listen to some music while I'm writing, stay up all night, and just crank it out.
Mm.
That's pretty cool that you do that. That you keep a notebook. I had an instructor in college that did the same thing, and I mean, he wrote every spare second.
Yes.
He would write. And do you do the same thing, Ethan? I mean, is it pretty much all the time that you're writing?
Yes, I do. I have little notebooks, and I'll take it to work with me, and I'll take it to lunch, and I'll think of something. I'll see something, and I'll say, "Ooh," and then I'll write it down. I'll sketch out the chapters, and it makes writing a lot easier when I sit down, and then I know what direction I'm going to go in.
That's kind of, I've done that some. I don't do it all the time, which I'd like to do it all the time more often. But I have taken, and you're kind of inspiring me to do this again, and Adam's inspiring me to get ahead of the game with the chapters, and Segilola is inspiring me to schedule and that kind of thing. But you're inspiring me to try to write as much as possible. And in fact, I'm going to do it. Sometimes I'll do it for a weekend or a few days, just to see how much I can get down. And really, even if you do what you're doing just for a few days at a time, you can get. I know one weekend I did it over a long weekend. I had 25 pages. By the time I was done, 25 type pages of work that moved me along in a story. So that's
wow.
Really, yeah.
That is outstanding.
Okay. So the person who is not me, the person who is, that has voices in her head, the person who's not me, that has voices in his head, that tells the story, does similar but not quite the same. So this person, will call him Mr. Bond.
Okay.
He's Mr. Bond is doing some ironing, right? And then he just has this, one of these schizophrenic moments, right? Where the voices just take over, and then you just see a scene in your head just plays out, right? And it takes a millisecond because then you don't end up burning your clothes while you're ironing. But, the scene just plays out in your head and you see it very realistic, what's going to happen, what point it's going to happen, and then you just file it somewhere in the filing cabinet in your head, right? And it just plays out scene by scene by scene. And because Mr. Bond is very fast in typing, it takes several months, or several weeks for these, the voices to then play the scene in their head, right? Then, literally, only a matter of weeks, the entire book, so Mr. Bond's latest book, that was how it happened. It was literally, the scene played out from December to March, and it was just plain. And one night, when Mr. Bond's little human being was asleep, good 6 hours, and Mr. Bond typed out 5,000, words, because, Mr. Bond writes children's books, and it was just done in a night.
What happens with me is I notice how you said that the scene is picture perfect. For me, it's like I get an idea and I sort of turn it into a movie in my head, and then I go outside, think about it, the movie plays, and I iterate on that. And for months and months and months, at least this is what happened with Nowhere Island University, and is
Hmm.
probably going to happen for my second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth serials. But I iterate on various scenes in my mind, and I change them and I change them, and sometimes the plot even becomes totally different. And finally, Nowhere Island University is the first time. Actually, it's more like the second time. The second time was kind of the first time was kind of an embarrassment, and I don't talk about that. But finally, I get it down on paper, and I start writing, and the actual writing process is more of ends up with more iterations. Like very few things that were come out exactly as they were in my head. Also, what was I?
You have a
Senior moment. Or baby brain, whatever you want.
No, I've got baby brain. That's my story. Please don't share it with me. You've got senior moment. I've got baby brain. Oh my god, it's like I just looked at the time and we've been on this for an hour, right? Oh my god, it's like, you know when you're just having fun and then the time just goes away and you just think, wow.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to kick you out of my virtual cafe very soon, you know, because again, mummies who are authors don't have loads of money, right? I've then got to go and get, you know, an extra dedicated podcast domain or hosting, right? And I went to get the cheapest one, possible, 100 megabytes, right? And every episode where I've gone over 30 minutes, right? So now, literally, I've got to then go and put it in my domain hosting rather than the podcast hosting because I've already maxed out my my allowance. So it's either I have to upgrade to the next one up, but then again, I've not got loads of money. So please, anyone who wants to sponsor the show and pay for my podcast domain hosting, whatever it's called, I would be ever so great. Because when I say to people, do you want to sponsor the show, they're kind of thinking, oh, this woman, she just likes saying sponsor the show. But it's like these things do, you know, they do pile up, you know. So please come and pay for my I'll start again. Please come support and sponsor and pay for the podcast hosting. You know, then that way, you know, I can go on and on and on and on. But I was just going to say, Ethan, you read Cherie's book. What did you think about it?
Well, first and foremost, I really love the book. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, and what I liked about it is that I immediately cared about the character. The main character, I immediately cared about her. So there's that. The other thing is, because I'm in the mental health profession, the book had special meaning for me because I have come across so many different people like that. And so, you know, it was very powerful in terms of looking at the different. There's so much I can say. Let me go back. Let me say that, you know, what I liked about the story is that I would be looking at her one way, and then I would get a perspective from someone else, and then I would change it. I'd say, okay, well, you know what? I kind of understand why she's doing that. And I don't want to give away the book in terms of with some of her actions, you know, because I'm reading it and I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? You know what this is going to lead to. It's like, haven't you done this 3 times already? And it was just, yeah. And I'm reading it and I'm like, stop. But then, you know, I had to put on, you know, my mental health hat and say, listen, she's going through grieving. She's going through all the different stages of grieving. And so I thought that the book was great. I think that it's the kind of book that most people should read, because if you have gone through tragedy, gone through grief in any way, you are going to find yourself somewhere in there, somewhere in her different stages, and some of the things that she does, you're going to find yourself in there, because that's something that we all can relate to, because if we're on this earth long enough, we're going to experience grief, sorrow, heartache, and we're going to step outside of who we are, and we're going to be different. And I think it's just something that other people would do. And, you know, quite frankly, I'm going to have some of the people that I work with, and I'm going to have them read the book.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Thank you. That is a huge motivator for me to write even more, and I really appreciate you telling me that. Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you.
Well,
thank you, Ethan.
I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you, Ethan. Thank you so much.
Okay, but you know, with everything, you know, just to give a nice balance, you know, because most times if someone was listening, they'll just think, oh yes, you know, you're obviously going to say you like the book because she's a author, right? So tell us, what did you not like about the book? What could the author have done differently? What could the author have improved on?
I think maybe tell a little bit more about the relationship. You know, and again, I'm really searching and trying to find something wrong because I enjoyed it so much. So I'm a little bit biased, I have to admit. And I even like the way it jumped around. And I use that term loosely as far as jumping around because it didn't move in a linear fashion. And but because I enjoyed the movie Pulp Fiction so much, they got me out of that. Like, stories don't have to move in a linear fashion as long as you are telling a story, and as long as I know, okay, what the main character is going through, what he or she, what point are you trying to make, and it was very clear from the very first chapter what was going on. But I would say, I would like to have learned a little bit more about the son.
Okay.
And seen a little bit more about the relationship if I had to pick something.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you telling me that. And actually, I'm even thinking about doing. I'm working on another book now, but I'm thinking about doing a sequel to that one. So that's definitely some good information. So thank you so much, Ethan, and thank you for reading. I really appreciate it.
Oh, good. And normally this is where I would say, you know, what books have you read in the last year? But I'm just thinking, right, I've got to find where I'm going to host this one now because I've maxed out my hosting for the month. Because it seems, right, for every minute of a recording, because we record it as video, then I convert it to audio only. So when I convert it to an MP3, I find that every minute equals to 1 megabyte. So we've been on for over an hour, so that's already 60 megabyte. And I got a package for gives me 100 megabytes a month. So just one recording is more.
That means everybody was having a good time.
Oh yes, no, definitely, which I'm happy with. I just oh, my laughter has woken up the little human. Sorry, baby. Yeah, so we're having fun, but I'm going to have to miss out next time you guys are here. You can tell me about, you know, the indie books that you've read. So I know that some of you are going to do a giveaway. I'm sure what giveaway are you doing for us today?
Okay, I am going to give, people can sign up to win one of 3 of my books via digital books. And what they can do is, let me go to that. Hang on. They can go to, trying to find it. Hang on one second. Let's see. They can go to enter for a chance to win one of 3 copies. Listeners should type 1 + 1 = 3 as a reply to the comment I will make to this podcast video page on YouTube. And I will choose the winners at random on May 2nd.
Yay! How about you, Ethan?
All right, so for me, type in under my comment "wacky races" to win a free copy of the book, and it's in Latin, or the title is in Latin. It's called Hostis Humani Generis, and that stands for Enemy of the Human Race.
Oh, wow.
So I'll be giving that away May 2nd.
Okay, so is that just the 1 copy?
2 copies.
2 copies. Perfect. Right, and how about you, Adam? I know you don't write books.
I would love to give you guys, you audience guys, something, but I have no merch. I have no physical or digital copy or premium digital copies. I have no T-shirts. So
But you might soon, Adam. You might
I
soon.
might soon.
Yes.
That the probability of that coming soon is kind of zero. So and if you want to read the story, go to nowhereislanduniversity.wordpress.com. I will set a link to the first chapter in the YouTube comments. If you're interested, check it out. Basically, people have told me it's good. I'm too busy writing to know whether or not it's good. I hope it's good. I pray to God it's good. But people have told me it's good, so.
Oh, good. Well, if people have told you it's good, then that's all you need to know. Because I think sometimes, as authors, we start doubting ourselves. You just think, does someone really like this? Is this any good? And you just think, would I actually buy this? We become our own worst critics.
True.
Yeah. That's how you improve. And there's some independent people, maybe not in the writing industry, but in another industry that I follow, who produce absolute garbage and treat it like it's the Mona Lisa. And I do not want to become one of those people.
Something just popped into my head, right? So I remember reading somewhere that, and I'm also guilty of this, that this whole, are they called vines? I'm not very techie term. Where videos that last for less,
5 seconds,
that last for less than 15 seconds. And I know I'm also guilty of when I see a video that's way more than that, I just not listen to it or watch it, or I just skip. I just press the tracking button and just go to the end to see what it was all about. So they say that when I've read research, they say that the shorter a video, the more likely it is to be consumed. So the podcasts that I do, they're all sort of on average about an hour. All three of you all listened to at least one episode to the end. Be honest. Hello?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Okay, have you listened to any of the podcast shows, any of the previous episodes? Have you listened to it to the end?
I have.
Okay, Sherry, have you?
No, I have not to the end, so I have to be honest. No, I have not, but I will. I promise. That's my next thing. I've said it on air. I have to promise to listen to one to the end.
Okay. How about you, Adam?
I should listen to one of those things. I listen to some British guy talking about games several British people talking about games each week. I should be able to listen to one British woman and a bunch of her friends talking about books.
Yeah.
Yes. Please, because then it kind of makes me feel like, okay, because it just came to my head, I'm like, right, it just, when you just have this light bulb moment, and I'm like, actually, I did remember reading, and it says, make it short, but then when I'm having, conversation with people, we have so much fun, just, chatting about books, right, that, initially, my initial plan with the podcast was for it to be half an hour, right, but then the show just takes a life of its own, and I can't say to people, oh, okay, well, it's half an hour now, bye. You just don't, and I found that, we've had so much fun that every time it goes over an hour, so that's why I'm just thinking that, do people actually listen to it? I mean, I see my download counts going up, and I'm thinking, okay, but unfortunately, I don't think there's any software, or none of the hosting providers can tell you how many minutes people watch, or how much many minutes people listen, so I was just curious to see, you guys, if you've actually ever listened to any episode. Well, thank you, Ethan. So,
Yes, and I can tell you that I recommend indie authors to listen to your show. I tell them that they should listen to this, and I tell them to contact you and to get on here and tell their story.
Thank you very much. See, you get an extra chocolate with your ice water. Thank you. And then Cherie, you're going to listen to one episode to the end, and then you'll tell me what it is. And then I'm going to
absolutely. And I am going to promote you as well because I've really enjoyed this. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. And the little human, she's been good. She slept. It's raining in London today. We had the heat wave. Heat wave in London, I know. Yeah, so we've had some rain now, so that sort of helped the temperature to cool down a bit. So she's gone and slept now. So that's why we've not had your drinks, right? And she's not giving her own comments about, European. Even though she did laugh that one time when she woke up. But you know what? It's been fabulous, having you guys on the show. I originally planned at this point that I was going to recap what we said, but I think we did quite a lot about it earlier on. So we said, watch out for the vanity scammers, those people that, they stroke your ego, tell you all the right things that you want to hear, when you're starting out, and then after all of that, and they go, but, and like, is that but with the double T, right? And then if I try to use that, to get money off you, so try and be wary of them. If you've got loads of money and you want to give them, then please do sponsor my show. I think I would put your money to better use than the vanity scammers, but hey. So beware of vanity scammers. If you're going to go hybrid publishing, you need to just make sure that you know what it is that you're setting yourself up for. The main difference between independent and self-publishing is with regards to who is listed as the publisher. So if you're an independent publisher like myself and the lovely Cherie, we're both independent publishers. Wink, wink. We went to spend £150 or $250 to buy ISBN batch of 10, and I don't think I'm going to write 10 books in. Maybe it will take me 3 years to write 10 books. So yes, I've got 10, ISBNs, waiting there for my 10 books to come. Or if you want to take an ISBN off me, you can contribute towards it, and I will give you my ISBN, and then I can then use that as my imprint. Yeah, Segilola Publishing. Or if you go self-publishing, then you're either going to be using Amazon as your publisher, or CreateSpace as your publisher, or what else is there? Draft2Digital as your publisher, or any of the other ones out there. Now, if you do go the route of being an independent publisher, in addition to you, as a consequence of you being listed as the publisher, you will have to send, when requested, a copy of the book, if you're in the UK, to the legal deposit scheme, which is part of the British Library, and any of their agencies. With my first book, I ended up sending 6 copies, and if you're in America, it's the Library of Congress. Is that right, Cherie?
That's right. Adam actually knew that. Yes, that's absolutely right. He's absolutely right.
Seriously, don't quote, because I don't actually know. I just guess. Because
I think you're right. I think you're right, for sure.
He's right.
There you go.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That's it for the show today. And I'm really sorry you didn't get your drinks. The little human who's falling asleep, I will have a word with her mom. How dare her fall asleep on duty? You can't get good stuff these days. So thank you for sparing the time to come to our virtual cafe. To all the listeners, thank you so much for stopping by. If you like this show, please spread the word by sharing it with your family and friends. You can connect with me on Twitter. I'm at Yayetunde1. So that's I for India, Y for Yankee, A for Apple, Y for Yankee, E for Echo, T for Tango, U for Unicorn, N for November, D for Delta, E for Echo, and the figure 1. Yay! So if you would like to be in the audience for the next show, or if you would like to sponsor the show, yes please. Please do get in touch with me via my website. It's segilolasalami.co.uk. So, oh wait, I think I missed a bit. Sorry, guys. You know when you're just doing your spiel, to just say, yes, let's round up. But then, guys, I've missed a bit. How do people get in touch with you if they wanted to go? Let's start with you, Cherie.
All right, they can find me on Twitter at Sherry Meeks. It's SherryMeeks. They can find me on Facebook at sherry.meeks.9. And my website is sherrylynnmeeks.com. That's SherryLynnmeeks.com. Thank you.
Perfect. And how about you, Ethan?
You can find me on Facebook, Ethan Howard, author. You can find me on also under Ethan Howard, author. On Twitter, Ethan Howard 65.
Perfect. And how about you, Adam?
If you want to find me on Twitter, you can follow at Nowhere Island U, capital N, capital I, capital U. If you want to follow me on, if you want to find a few of my posts on Reddit, you can go to u/GMRM4N.
Okay.
All lowercase letters, and of course, my serial Nowhere Island University is at the URL nowhereislanduniversity.wordpress.com, and my blog is t4nky.wordpress.com.
Perfect. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you guys on the show. So I will see you folks next week on the Segilola Salami Show. Bye now.
Goodbye.
Bye.